Hey everyone, today's video is all about measurements and how to take proper measurements of your body. This is so important, especially if you don't like making a muslin, which I do not like doing. There's something about making that muslin that just really takes the joy out of the creating aspect of it, because once I finish making the muslin, then suddenly I lack the desire to make it out of my fabric. So hopefully I can help you understand how to take your own measurements properly so that you can make modifications to your pattern before you sew it up, and hopefully you can sew it without making a muslin. If you are making a muslin and that works for you, there's no need to change. If that's what makes you happy and you feel more confident doing it that way, then by all means go ahead and do that. So you'll need a few things before we get started. You'll need measuring tape. Now it's important that you actually reference your measuring tape to the drafting ruler that you will normally be using to gauge whether the measurements are correct or not. Because if I'm taking my measurements with this measuring tape and it actually is inaccurate, when I'm modifying my patterns or drafting, it's going to be reflected in the modifications that I make. Even a 1/16 of an inch added to 4 different seams would be a 1/4 inch difference, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when something is meant to be fitted, it can be a major difference. So what I'm going to do is take it and just line it up. I don't know if you can see that, but lining it up. And the best way to do too is to sometimes measure from the 1 to the 2 inch, because we have this metal tip that sometimes is just slightly off, but that looks actually perfect to me, so I know that this measuring tape is quite accurate. I do have other ones that I've measured to my drafting ruler and they're not quite accurate. And even if you aren't drafting manually, it's still a good reference, because most times these drafting rulers are quite accurate. So knowing that your measuring tape is accurate will help transfer those measurements later on to digital drafts. So we're going to start with some circumference measurements, but before I forget, you'll also need a mirror to stand in front. If you have a friend or a loved one, a roommate, or even your partner that can help you take measurements, that's often best. But because I am the type of person that wants things done immediately, I don't often ask for help. So I'm going to show you how you can do it on your own as well. You'll also need to be wearing something that's fitted. It's best to normally take your measurements in a bra and underwear, or however you would normally wear your garments. So whatever you would wear underneath the garment, I think that would be your best bet. So if you have a certain type of bra that you normally wear, if you don't wear a bra at all, then I would take your measurements in that exact way to know exactly how the garment will fit. So with that being said, let's get started. So I'm going to start with my bust measurement, and what I'm going to do is wrap the measuring tape around my body. And when I'm doing this, I'm standing in front of the mirror and I'm making sure that the measuring tape is running parallel, so it looks that it's running parallel to the ground. So that's always what you want to do. You don't want it sagging in the back. Even sagging like this could cause quite a big difference in my measurements. So taking my measurement there and then taking it properly where it's supposed to sit, parallel to the ground and over the part of my body that has the most girth in the bust area. Yeah, like even when I just took it that other way, not sitting properly, not parallel to the ground, there was about 1.5 inches difference in the measurement. So that's why you always want to make sure that it's parallel to the ground, okay, in every area. So just kind of do a spin in front of the mirror, make sure that it's all parallel, and then record your measurement. So the next one we're going to do will be the waist area. And so your waist tends to sit right at the belly button. So I'm going to wrap my tape measure all around my waist area, and wherever that aligns. And you want it to fit snug, but you don't want it to be so snug that you're like sucking in your body. Like, you should be relaxed when you're taking this measurement too, because you want it to be comfortable, right? You don't want it to be so tight that you can't breathe when you're wearing it, or maybe you do, but I prefer to take it in a way that makes me feel the most comfortable when I'm wearing the clothing. So you can see that's parallel all the way around. Next, we're going to take our hip measurement. So our hip measurement, we go around the body, same sort of deal with these circumference measurements where they should run parallel to the ground. Making sure I'm holding that tightly. And also you want it to go around the part of your body that has the most girth. So here, let me adjust that slightly. So here I've got it in the area that juts out the most on my body, in and around the hips, making sure that all areas are parallel, and then I would record that measurement. So next we're going to move on to center front measurement, and with the center front measurement, you're always going to want to take it from this concave area where the collarbone rests. So I'm going to take it from there, and again, just like the name references, center front, you're going down center front, and this gives us an idea of, on our patterns, like where it would sit on our bodies. So if, for instance, I had a shirt that had a 19-inch center front length and a 19-inch center front length on a shirt will sit here on me. And likewise, the same applies for dresses. So if I had a dress that was 31 inches, I would hold this down, and I'm just gonna walk close to the mirror to see where that hits. And it hits just above the knee for me, because I am quite short. So next we're going to talk about sleeve length as well as the shoulder. So for sleeve length, we're going to place the measuring tape at the tip of our shoulder. So where you can often feel sort of like a bone here as well. So I normally like to put it there, right at the tip of that bone. And then I'm just going to place it at my wrist. So at my wrist, I can see here that it's 21 inches. You can also bend your arm too, in case you want like a little extra give, but in my case, it's the exact same measurement. So we know that 21 inches for me is the perfect sleeve length. Now, let's say I had a drop shoulder sleeve. What we would want to do, and say the drop shoulder sleeve was 19 inches, for instance, right? So what I would want to do on my pattern to see if the 19 inches was long enough for my sleeve length was I would want to take the shoulder measurement of the pattern. So I know that if I were to measure from my shoulder, here's actually another way to do it. So I'm imagining that there's a line going from this concave area just around, sitting around my neck, because that's normally where a collar stand would sit, right? So I'm gonna take this measurement here, so starting at my shoulder, at my neck, and I'm gonna go to shoulder tip and then around the back. And I see that it's about 24 and a half inches. So if it's saying that if the pattern is sleeve is 19 inches and my shoulder to sleeve is 24, then if I measured my pattern shoulder and it gave me a measurement of like 5 inches for the shoulder, so I know that it's slightly dropped, I would know that that total distance would fit me perfectly. I don't know if that made sense at all, but knowing your measurements can really help determine a fit is really the point. Next, we're going to take our inseam measurements. This is an important measurement for the length of pants. So I'm going to step back slightly so that you can see. And how you're going to take this measurement is by going to the crotch area and wherever your crotch sits, and then as long as your leg is straight, I mean, this would be a great time to ask a friend or a family member or your partner to help you out. But as long as your leg is straight, if you run this down along your leg, and normally you would stop at the ankle and take your measurement there. So mine was 29 inches. If I was wearing, let's say I had a wide leg pair of pants, sometimes I like to wear those a little bit longer. I don't want them to sit right at my ankle, so I might add like a half inch or 3/4 inches to that. But this also gives you reference too, because let's say your inseam length on your pattern says that it's 30 inches and I'm a 29, well then I know I'm going to want to take it up an inch unless it's a pair of wide leg pants, or if you wanted to modify those pants and make them like a capri or a pair of shorts, at least you can gauge your distance so you know that you would be taking that from the inseam of the pattern when you're modifying it. Another really important measurement is the crotch length of your garment. So if I have a pair of pants, I want to know what that crotch length is, because that's going to give me an indication as to how these pants are going to fit me. So if they're high-waisted, all of our bodies are so different. We're all so unique in that way. So what we want to do is take the measurement again from your belly button. We're going to go all the way around. So from my belly button, and same thing as the waist. Like I want to make sure that that is right up where I want it to be. I'm standing nice and tall and I'm taking that measurement. So mine is like 27 1/4. And so this gives me an idea. So if I'm looking at a pant pattern and I'm like, well, this one falls at 26. So I know that most likely that back area of those high-waisted pants are going to sit a little lower in the back area of the pant, and I might not want that. I might want it to fit me perfectly, right? That's the whole point of making your own clothing, is you want things to fit you perfect. So that's a good way of doing it. And I have a drafting video series where I show you how to modify the crotch length of your pants. Now, really important too, when you're taking your crotch length, let's say you had a pair of like low rise or mid rise pants, altering the crotch length is not going to turn a pair of mid-rise or low-rise pants into a pair of high-rise pants. It just doesn't work that way.
I went off on a bit of a tangent here about drop crotches and increasing and decreasing where the pant sits on your body, which might be a bit confusing to those of you who are not too familiar with pattern drafting yet. But if you do want to see a video on how to create mid or low rise pants from a high-waisted pant pattern, let me know. I'm happy to include that in the drafting series. Back to the crotch length measurement. This measurement will help you increase or decrease the crotch at center front or back for comfort and to help the waistband of the pant sit where it was meant to sit on your body.
Another really important measurement, I'm just going to alter the camera in a second, but that is going to be the foot entry measurement. And a lot of times in videos you'll see me talking about the ankle measurement. Oftentimes I'm referring to the foot entry measurement. I just always say that for some reason, but I don't know if ever you've tried to further taper a pair of pants only to sew them up and then realize that they won't go over your foot. Now, this is why this measurement is so important, because if we're just taking our ankle measurement and we're working with a fabric that is woven without stretch, our ankle measurement is actually much smaller than the measurement that we actually need in order to get it over the foot. I also have a video on how to further taper a pair of pants, so if they're a little looser than you want them to be, how you can figure out and determine whether you can taper them more or not using this measurement. So I'm just gonna put my foot up here. So with our ankle measurement, and I'll just show you right now, if I were to take this measurement, which is actually my ankle measurement around my ankle, and you do need this sometimes too. I will be drafting a pair of pants that are woven, but that will fit snugly around the ankle. So you should know what your ankle measurement is. So mine is 8 3/4, right? But the proper measurement, the foot entry measurement, is actually taken from the instep of your foot all the way around to the heel, because that is actually the widest point of your foot. So when you're putting on a pair of pants, it has to go over that area, right? And mine would be 11.5. So could you imagine I drafted to the 8 3/4 as a taper, and then only to realize after sewing it that it had to be 11.5 inches. There's no way that a pair of woven pants would fit over my foot. All right, well, I hope this video was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions. Definitely check out the video series that I've created on drafting and modifying your patterns. I do show you how to extend the crotch length. There is another video on how to alter the length of your garment, as well as how to further taper a pair of pants. If you have any questions or there are any drafting videos that you would like to see, please let me know and I will do my best to get around to them.